In this episode of Occult Unmasked, I simply do an unboxing of the new David Bowie vinyl record, Blackstar, and I give a full review of every track on the album. Thank you for watching. So in this episode, my microphone lavalier stopped working, unbeknownst to me, so I'm gonna have to buy a new one. But I'm gonna have to pretty much tell you what I said because I can't redo an unboxing. It's not something you can redo. So I purchased David Bowie's album Blackstar, and it arrived today on David Bowie's birthday, on the day it was supposed to be released, January 8th. It's David Bowie's 69th birthday, and I'm surprised, but it came right on time. And I got a poster as well, which came with the version that I bought, and I was able to choose between 3 posters. And I haven't opened it, so there are 3 posters I'm describing, and I chose the best one that I thought. And this is the unboxing. Vinyl came from UPS, and you will see the condition and what to expect when you order an album from davidbowie.com. I didn't order this from Amazon or anywhere like that. I got it straight from davidbowie.com. And this poster came in a tube from the Postal Service very quickly. And this is an unboxing video. I'm going to open this on up. I apologize for the audio not matching the video, but I'm going to do the best I can with this video. I'm not going to scrap it. I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like. I'm opening the poster tube for the first time. It's a high quality poster tube. And I'm taking out the poster. And it's a nice, thick, high-quality poster, printed very nicely. Let's take a look at it. Okay, there it is. I chose the Bowie character of Bowie with the blue cloud backdrop, and I thought it was the best-looking one. Hopefully I can get Bowie to sign it one day. That'd be nice. But until then, I will hang it up or keep it in its secure poster tube. But I'm going to display it on the back of the wall. There we go. We got it back there on the wall pretty nicely displayed. And, you know, looks pretty good. Now let's on to the vinyl record. Let's see what this is gonna look like. I need something sharp. So I get some scissors and I open it on up. This is for David Bowie's Blackstar vinyl. It's a limited edition clear vinyl I got from davidbowie.com. And it came in a pretty standard heavy cardboard, and who knows what I'm talking about because the audio did not work. So quit talking and open it up. Open that box up. Okay, there we go. Opening it up for the first time. There's the packing label. And here is the vinyl. And wow, there you go. It's parental advisory, explicit content. That's the first thing I noticed was that sticker. I thought that was pretty funny. That parental advisory, explicit content. Let's get a closer look at that. There you go. There's a closer look at the parental advisory explicit content sticker. And there's one song that caused that to exist. And I'll talk about that song later on. But so far so good. This is what it looks like. It's a nice die cut album cover, and you can see the vinyl straight through, the clear vinyl. Looks very cool. And here I am trying to get a nice screenshot or thumbnail for the video itself. So I eventually need to use my fingernails to open up the edges, as I want to be careful because I do not want to discard the plastic. When you keep that original plastic on your records, it greatly increases the protection over the many years, because let's face it, you're not going to buy an individual plastic sleeve for each and every vinyl record, and for the ones you don't, and if you see a 30-40-year-old record, the ones with the plastic still on it are the ones in great condition. The ones with no plastic are heavily worn and faded and scratched up. So I want to not discard the plastic and just carefully open it up with my fingernails. And finally, you speed up a little bit. I'm able to pull out a plastic sleeve, which I was impressed by. Most records do not come with a plastic sleeve. That's very nice. And it's an internal plastic sleeve, and as you can see, it's a very nice clear vinyl record. And I'm examining, it's just the labeling and whatnot, and I'm sure it's limited with a number, but I didn't check the number at the time. And I'm laughing because it says reverse is side 2, and on the reverse there is nothing printed, just so they could save. But it looks cool. I like the back. I like the fact that it's blank. So I thought that was pretty funny. I take it out of the sleeve, and I'm impressed by how heavyweight and how nice and thick it is, like a record from the 1970s. Very heavyweight, very high quality. There are far too many companies today selling vinyl records as thin as they can possibly make them, as cheap as they can possibly make them. And now I take out the internal booklet and I examine it for the first time. So here it is. It's a nice high quality booklet. The back has a nice black star printed in black ink on black paper. The front has David Bowie's blind character with the buttons and Bowie printed out stylistically in stars on the bottom. And it's a really high quality, and you're definitely going to get your fingerprints on this thing just by touching it, but it's something to be enjoyed by the fans. Page 1 and all of the pages are all the same concerning being printed in black ink on black paper, except for the photographs of Bowie. And I thought it was really cool. I'm not going to elaborate on the exact contents. You get the gist. That's the logo from the Blackstar single, which looks like a black hole in a grid. You can see that online, but it's pretty much impossible to see this. And let me speed it up a little bit. You know, there's definitely some cool graphics for when it comes to album booklet artwork. It's very cool. And upon trying to put it back in, I realized there is something inside. Obviously, it is the MP3 code. And I highly recommend anyone who downloads the MP3s please be sure to purchase the actual vinyl. I mean, you can't replace an MP3 with a vinyl. Vinyl is where it's at. If you want a collection, start collecting vinyl. That's what I highly recommend. And then I turn on my old record player, my Magnavox, made in England, which I do not recommend getting. It's a very old device, but I wanted to play a song, and it's probably good that you can't hear it because I don't own the rights to the songs, and it would probably be copyright stricken anyway. But here's just a video of me playing Blackstar for the first time, and I accidentally played it in 45 speed, and he was going really fast, and I might experiment and see if I can find anything out with the different speeds, but I don't want to scratch it, so I'm not going to be doing anything extreme, and I'm not going to be playing it backwards. You're welcome and free to do so with your vinyl, but I'm not going to be doing it with this limited edition clear. And it's a very cool looking, it's the only clear vinyl that I have. I have different colored ones, but I don't have a clear one. And Bowie seems to prefer clear. As you can see, many of Bowie's previous albums were clear in the special edition versions. And all in all, I give the design and packing and shipping, I give it a 10. It's definitely a 10. I have no complaints. Any dents or dings were minimal and very minimal, very small, and they would be based on the UPS process, which is random chance. You never know what's going to happen. As far as me reviewing the actual tracks, track by track, I did write it down, luckily, so I can simply read what I wrote down, and you can awkwardly watch as I say the same thing and it doesn't sync up. But when I'm reading a script, I go off on tangents and I riff, and so they're not going to match up anyway, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to play it as I read my album review. So Blackstar, the title track of this album, is an amazingly masterful created masterpiece. It is by far the strongest song on the album. The song starts off with beautiful flutes, really faint, reminiscent of flutes in Stairway to Heaven, and that's the first thought that came through my mind when I saw the music video and the song, hearing the song for the first time, was that this song is David Bowie's Stairway to Heaven. That is going to mark a great accomplishment in his career. Light guitar accompanies the flutes flawlessly as Bowie sings with character number 1, the blind prophet, and I want to distinguish the music video as separate from the song, but at the same time, Bowie did give notes to the director, and I believe the 3 characters are something that Bowie came up with before the music video was ever made. And he starts with character 1, which is a blind prophet that wears a blindfold with buttons on it. And I call this character a prophet because he's very humble, he sings very solemnly. He says things like, in the center of Orman, in the center of it all. He sings very solemnly, very reverently. As he sings, digital drums start to kick in. Many people have compared it to Radiohead, but Bowie hasn't given credit to Radiohead, so I seriously doubt Radiohead is to praise for the inspiration. If anything, Radiohead are probably more greatly inspired by Bowie. But Bowie is inspired by some modern bands, and he has reference to them. Donnie McCaslin told Rolling Stone that the solitary candle at the center of it all was Isis, and he claims Bowie himself told him that. And this is Donnie McCaslin's possible possibly his only opportunity to talk with Rolling Stone anytime soon. So I seriously doubt he's going to be lying about this story. I believe Bowie did tell Donnie McCaslin that the Solitary Candle was about ISIS, because Bowie is someone that is greatly influenced by everything around him, including the news. As we saw with a previous album, a previous track called Valentine's Day, Bowie was clearly inspired by high school shootings of America, and that song isn't in reference to any specific shooting, just shootings in general. So Bowie is influenced by the news, and ISIS most definitely has been a major topic on the news as of late. And aside from that, so character 2, I already talked about character 1, which is the blind prophet. Character 2 is a scripture-wielding preacher. No one knows what Blackstar is. Many have claimed that it has to do with Jesus and the devil. As lazy as this may be, it seems too lazy for David Bowie, but the line, "How many times does an angel fall?" seems to confirm Bowie is talking about spiritual things. And not to mention character 3, the madman, I like to call him, the charismatic madman. He says things such as, "I am the great I am." That really sums up that character. So there are 3 separate individual characters in this song. And the reason we know there are 3 characters is because there are 3 different posters you can order with the limited pre-order edition. I ordered one poster in particular. There are 2 others, and there are 3 characters in the music video, and the director even said there are 3 characters. And I don't think that was the director's idea. I think that was Bowie's idea, because those 3 characters can already distinctly be heard throughout the song. They all have different tones of voice. They talk slightly differently. It seems 2 of them do declare they are Blackstar, or I am a Blackstar. So perhaps they are competing, and you can generalize and make an assumption like the original He was Christianity and the new Blackstar are the Muslims, but we can't really jump to that conclusion. Although I have to say the scarecrows in the cross formations in the video doesn't seem to really fit the song too well, and I didn't particularly enjoy that part. I do believe the director did make some great artistic license choices, but David Bowie's official response to the music video was that it was perfect, and so he did like it, and he did love it. And so but I do see the video and the song as 2 different things, 2 different pieces of art. And the video definitely bombards us with occult symbolism, but we have to take it in the context that it's not Bowie's necessarily, it's the director's. Although Bowie did say he wanted this character to have a blindfold with button eyes, and that he did want these characters behind him to move in a broken loop like the generic background characters in a black and white Popeye cartoon. Many have said that they are possessed characters, but that could have been the actors or the dancers' interpretation of Bowie's broken Popeye loop idea that obviously he gave the director to give to them. As for the song is amazing. It stands out above and beyond every other track. It's almost as if Blackstar is an extraterrestrial track among the other tracks on the album, whereas the other tracks are mere mortal humans. Bowie's original length was about 11.5 minutes, and it really sucks that iTunes forced him to cut it down to 10 minutes, because when Bowie heard that iTunes does not sell songs that are longer than 10 minutes, he went back into the studio and reworked the song with his producer until it was 9 minutes and 59 seconds long. I am not a fan of iTunes. I've personally purchased exactly 0 songs from iTunes, and they forced U2 albums on our iPhones without us asking. You think they would have let Bowie have the full-length song, but if they let it for him, they would have to let it for everyone. and they just didn't want to do that. So that's just too bad, because I have heard of conflicts between musicians and their 15-minute songs and their 20-minute songs, and radio stations wanting them to make a radio version, and them telling the radio stations to screw off. So it is an old debate that has happened many times before. So the song, I'm going to continue to talk about it. It is woven with such symbolism and melody changes, from dark themes to that light theme in the middle, the positive theme, with character 2 speaking. In the video, he holds the scripture with the black star on it, so I call him the scripture-wielding preacher. But he seems to be a good guy. He says things like sacred ground and cried loudly in the crowd, I am a black star. And you can clearly tell the difference between the three characters by the way they talk. Character 1 is very solemn. In the villa of Ormond lies a solitary candle at the center of it all. Character 2 says things like, sacred ground, cried loudly in the crowd, I am a black star, I am a black star. Character 3 is very prideful. I'm the great I am. I have a lot of money, I want diamonds in my eyes. I'm way up on money, I've got game. He says things like that, and they're clearly three different characters. It's clearly not David Bowie saying, I'm the great I am. It's a character within the song saying that. A character that is extremely in stark contrast with the other characters. I would say a polar opposite from the blind prophet character. And as opposed to Kanye West, who on his Yeezus album declared, I am a god. Now, when Kanye said that, I believe Kanye was being extremely prideful, talking about himself. Whereas in this album, on this track, Bowie isn't talking about himself when he says, I'm the great I am. He's specifically talking about a character within the song, just to have a stark contrast between the other character, which is clearly a humble, solemn, blind prophet. I do have many speculations on what the song means as to who the characters represent, but I feel, if I were to share them, they would be twisted views compared to the truth. Only David Bowie himself knows the true meaning of the song, the characters, the themes, and the symbolism, and he's never going to tell. As his last song in the album suggests in his title, I can't give everything away. David Bowie uses occult rituals to come up with masterful songs will be a conclusion that some jump to. But I don't jump to that conclusion necessarily. We'll never know. Only David Bowie knows, and he's simply a rare artist that works and works and works and has an undying motivation to create a perfect song. This is, after all, his 26th studio album. How many artists are motivated to come out with 26 albums? Not many. The song Black Star is so perfect. It sounds amazing even when played backwards. You can hear the backwards version of Black Star here. I can hear the name Lucifer fairly clearer throughout the reversed version of Black Star, but judge for yourself. And before I give my review of the other tracks on the album, for those interested in the occult, Bowie supposedly witnessed a demonic entity which he claimed was the devil himself. You can watch that video here. I spent a lot of time researching this video, and so there are details in this story which you won't hear anywhere. It is entitled David Bowie Saw the Devil in 1976. On to the album review. 'Tis a pity she was a whore. It sounds like slam poetry the first time I heard it. It sounds like Bowie literally is freestyling and making it up as he goes. Perhaps the studio band had a jam session and just, had fun, and this was the result. It's not a bad song. It has great energy, but the repeated line, 'tis a pity she was a whore, it's a little bit overused, and the background music is upbeat and high tempo, and it sounds like something you'd hear at a jazz club. which is probably the sound I think Bowie was going for as he met the saxophonist Donny McCaslin in a jazz band in New York for the first time. Perhaps he wanted to recreate that feel and that atmosphere. The next song, Lazarus, it's a slow tempo song, and we already know it was designed for Bowie's musical with the same name. And it has a dark theme throughout. It kind of sounds like credit music you would hear in a modern Batman movie. But the line, "Look up here, I'm in heaven, I've got scars that can't be seen, I've got drama that can't be stolen, everybody knows me now," it comes off as depressing. Perhaps Bowie is trying to express the dark side of fame and show business, but again, the song was made for Bowie's Broadway musical, and the song could be referencing a character within that play. But the line, "By the time I got to New York, I was living like a king," seems to specifically refer to Bowie himself, because by the time he did move to New York, he was hanging out with John Lennon, and he probably was living like a king during this time frame of his life. The melancholy vibe of the song probably fits in with his Broadway musical, but if it's about him, it is a little bit depressing. Made for the Broadway play and as opposed to being radio friendly. As far as radio friendly, I don't think Bowie made a single song on this album intended for the radio. I don't think Bowie cares about radio play at this point in his career. He's more artistically just trying to express different angles of the musical spectrum. And the next song, Sue, and this is a remake of the song that Bowie already released. This is the first song Bowie wrote with Blackstar saxophonist Donny McCaslin, but the album version is different than the other version. It's faster paced, it seems to be anyway. The background music is more produced, not overproduced, and I like the fast tempo, I like the electronic beats mixed in. It gives the song a breath of life, and the guitar is also well done. This is one of the rare songs on the album that doesn't appear to have a dark angle. The next song on the album, Girl Loves Me. It's the only song on the album that has expletives, which gives the album the sticker, Parental Advisory, Explicit Content. Bowie repeats the notorious F word, but uses it in a more casual manner. Who the F is gonna mess with me? And then repeats many times, where the F did Monday go? So he's not really aggressively using it, he's just casually using it, where the F did Monday go? The background music is very smooth and well produced. The song has a dark twist on it, and to me, anyway, it is vaguely reminiscent of the Björk song entitled Isabel, instrumental-wise. The next song is Dollar Days. This is my third favorite song on the album. It's sort of melancholy, that's just a common theme throughout the whole album, but there's a hint of hope, and the vocal melodies are perfectly aligned with the music in a way that makes it sound beautiful. It is well produced. The fast-paced lyrics are reminiscent of Bowie's older stuff, and Bowie is the type of musician that doesn't really seem to care what is on the radio today. He clearly gets ideas from the 70s and 80s, or at least his old songs from the 70s and 80s, and incorporates them into modern songs seamlessly, and you wouldn't even know it unless you went back and really listened to that old stuff. But it's a good song, and he does a good job on this track. And the last song, I Can't Give Everything Away. This is my second favorite song on the album, next to Blackstar. The song grows on you. You have to listen to it more than once. It's my second favorite song because it's one that seems to blatantly mention the occult as something so casual to him that it's nothing more than a skull design on his shoes. If this is a correct interpretation, Bowie doesn't seem to take the occult too seriously. The title of the song alone stuck out to me. I Can't Give Everything Away. I'm sure Bowie has many secrets, musical secrets, probably more so than any other, and some have called him a master musician, but some have called him a magician musician, and perhaps he is. The background music, electronic drums, saxophone, bass, and guitar are beautifully arranged and produced. It's a very cool song. It doesn't have the strongest hook, but it fits the song as you rationalize by thinking, of course it doesn't have a strong hook. He's already given us so many great music over these many years. This being his 26th studio album, Mr. Bowie has given us more than enough amazing music in his lifetime. And I thank you, David Bowie. Happy 69th birthday. You will probably never listen to this or watch this, but to his fans anyway, we appreciate you. Bowie's last album, The Next Day, is also one of my favorites, and I will do a review of that album in the future, and hopefully my lapel mic works. I'm ordering a new one right now. And that album ties into the occult a lot more than this one does. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus with Occult Unmasked. Be seeing you.